Welcome to Barbara's Bulletin, the podcast where we bring you the latest news and updates from around the world. I'm your host, Barbara, and I'm excited to share today's top stories with you. We're starting off with a significant development in Southeast Asia, where Cambodia and Thailand have agreed to a ceasefire after 5 days of deadly clashes along their disputed border. The conflict has resulted in at least 35 deaths, including civilians, and displaced over 100,000 people on both sides. To give you some background, the tensions between the two countries began escalating in late May, after a border skirmish left a Cambodian soldier dead. Since then, both sides have reinforced their military presence along the border, leading to a full-blown diplomatic crisis. The latest round of fighting started on Thursday, with both countries accusing each other of launching fresh artillery strikes across contested areas. Thailand has accused Cambodia of breaching Geneva Conventions by firing heavy artillery at non-military targets, killing civilians, including children. On the other hand, Cambodia has denied these claims and alleged that Thailand dropped illegal cluster bombs. The dispute centers on the ownership of several ancient temples and strategic sites along ambiguous sections of the 800-kilometer border. The conflict has been ongoing for decades, with roots in colonial-era mapping. In a significant diplomatic effort, U.S. President Donald Trump intervened, warning both countries that continued hostilities would hurt their negotiations with his administration over tariffs. Trump's phone calls to both prime ministers on the weekend seem to have had an impact, as the leaders of Cambodia and Thailand agreed to meet in Malaysia for face-to-face negotiations. After almost 2 hours of talks, Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet and Thai Acting Prime Minister Phumtham Wechayachai emerged from Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's residence in Kuala Lumpur, announcing an immediate and unconditional ceasefire. Officials from the U.S. and China were also present at the negotiations. It's a welcome development, and we hope that this ceasefire will hold and pave the way for a lasting resolution to the conflict. We'll continue to monitor the situation and bring you updates as more information becomes available. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. I'm your host, Barbara, and we're glad you're joining us again for this segment of our show. Today, we're discussing a pressing international issue that has been making headlines lately: the ongoing conflict between Israel and Palestine. As you may know, the situation in the Middle East has been escalating, with a 22-month war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, resulting in significant loss of life and displacement of people. According to reports, nearly 60,000 Palestinians have been killed in the conflict, and many more have been affected by the violence. Recently, the United Nations held a conference aimed at working towards a two-state solution between Israel and Palestine. However, the U.S. and Israel boycotted the event, citing concerns that it would not adequately address the issue of condemning Hamas and returning hostages. The conference, hosted by France and Saudi Arabia, aimed to lay out parameters for a roadmap to a Palestinian state while ensuring Israel's security. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot expressed his intention to use the conference to push other countries to join France in recognizing a Palestinian state, with plans to formally recognize a Palestinian state in September. It's essential to note that this is a complex and sensitive issue, with deep-rooted historical and cultural contexts. Both Israelis and Palestinians have legitimate concerns and aspirations, and finding a peaceful resolution will require careful consideration and negotiation. As we continue to follow this story, it's crucial to remember the human cost of the conflict and the need for empathy and understanding on all sides. We'll be keeping a close eye on developments in the region and bringing you updates as more information becomes available. In the meantime, we urge our listeners to stay informed and engage in respectful dialogue about this critical issue. By promoting greater understanding and cooperation, we can work towards a more peaceful and stable future for all parties involved. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. As we wrap up today's show, I'd like to shift our focus to the latest developments in the Middle East, specifically in Syria. The country is expected to hold its first parliamentary election under the new administration in September, with voting scheduled to take place between September 15 and 20. According to reports from the Syrian Electoral Commission, the 210-member People's Assembly will have a third of its seats appointed by President Ahmed al-Shara. This move has sparked interest as it aims to provide broad representation and allow foreign observers to monitor the electoral process. The new assembly is expected to play a crucial role in shaping Syria's future, including approving landmark legislation that could overhaul decades of state-controlled economic policies and reshape the country's foreign policy alliances. It's also worth noting that areas outside government control, such as Kurdish-held regions in northern Syria and the Druze-majority province of Swida, will continue to have seats allocated based on population. As we consider this development, it's essential to acknowledge the complexities and challenges faced by Syria, including concerns about minority representation and the concentration of power among the country's Islamist-led leadership. However, it's also important to recognize the potential for progress and the need for international cooperation in supporting Syria's transition towards a more democratic and inclusive system. As we conclude today's segment, I want to emphasize the importance of staying informed and engaged on global issues like this one. By doing so, we can foster greater understanding, empathy, and constructive dialogue. That's all for today's Barbara's Bulletin. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay engaged.